Hi, I'm Tameika Devine. I'm a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, and a city councilwoman.
Hello, I'm Jamie Devine, a husband, a father, and a community champion. I've been married to my wife Tameika for over 15 years.
Join us as we interview some of our favorite couples, hear their stories, and be inspired.
The secret to our successful marriage is that we are very intentional about our date nights.
Marriage is a partnership. Hi, I'm Jamie.
Hi, I'm Tameika.
And we are the Devines.
Welcome to this episode of Date Night with the Devines. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the first show of our second season. And so, yay! So we want to thank you guys so much for supporting Date Night with the Devines for our first season in 2019. We had an extraordinary year. We had an opportunity to interview and have join us at the date night table some extraordinary couples, and 2020 is no different. This season you are in for more of the same. More fun, more great information, and inspiring couples. For those of you who might be joining us for the first time, let me just tell you a little bit about Date Night with the Devines and how it got birthed. So Jamie and I are both elected officials. We are business professionals, and we have been married for, Tess, how long?
The whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we've been married for 16 years.
Yes, 16 years, and we have 4 amazing children, 3 here on earth and 1 in heaven.
Yes.
But we still date each other like we were newly, like we just met. You know the time when you are on the phone all night and you don't want to get off the phone with the person that that new love. And so we are we're very open with our relationship, and we share it with lots of folks. And we always have people say, wow, Tameika and Jamie, y'all look so happy, so in love. You inspire us. And so it made us think, well, who inspires us? There are so many amazing couples out there that are amazing examples of Black love. And so we decided to start Date Night with the Devines as an opportunity to introduce you to couples who inspire us and couples who can teach all of us a little bit more about love, marriage, surviving the little bumps in the road that might come with your marriage, and ultimately come out on the other side stronger and understanding that love and marriage is a covenant with God and that we all have to honor. And so with that, we birthed Date Night with the Devines. And we are excited. Today is no different. Our first show of the second season to introduce you guys to another amazing couple.
Thank you, Tameika. And tonight we have with us 2 of our favorite couples over at the Brookland Baptist Church, Dale and Denise Collier. So welcome y'all tonight.
Thank you. Thank you
for being our first guest for 2020.
Thank you.
Dale is the owner, one of the owners of Brownstone Construction.
That's correct.
And Denise is an administrator with Bridgeton School District 1. And so they are proud parents of 2 wonderful children who have done some great things here in town and across the Southeast. And also, as we get into the conversation, we'll talk a little bit about having our parents living with us also. So thank you all again for being here tonight. And again, welcome. So as we start with all of our couples, how did y'all meet?
How do we meet? That's a good question. The first thing to say, we're very excited to be here and honored to be considered for this show. And Denise and I, we met a long time ago. I think it's been 31 years now of marriage. But prior to that, I was entering the University of South Carolina as a freshman. Okay. And I was coming from the small town of Abbeville, South Carolina. And my mother knew that Abbeville was small and that Columbia was a big city. Yes. She said, Dale, there are all those different kind of people in Columbia. And if they bother you, you hit them and you run. At any rate, my mother was concerned. She knew Denise's mom and called Denise's mom in Abbeville. We're from the same hometown.
Okay.
So y'all from the same hometown, but y'all didn't know each other?
Exactly.
I am 3.5 years older. So I knew of him, but he was younger, so I didn't gotta hang with him.
I still had some some skills in the romance.
That's right. Tell it.
Talking to an older lady.
That's right. That's right.
So back to the point. My mom calls her mom. Dale's down there by himself in the big city, and Denise should call him. And the way it came back to me was she tells her mother, and maybe I should look at the camera, she says, I'm not calling that no strange man. So we always talk about me being the strange man here 30-something years later.
Right.
And so we did eventually meet on the horseshoe.
Before that, though.
Okay, I'll let you take it from there.
After I told Mom that I was not going to, she was very persistent.
Okay.
And she stated that I really needed to talk to Dale because his mom was so worried. So I told her that we would talk for 10 minutes on the phone. I would welcome him to Columbia. That would be it. And we talked for 2 hours.
Wow.
That's true.
Wow.
That's true. And if you're familiar with those times, I think the soap opera of choice was
Days of
Days of Our Lives.
We worked it around our class schedules at USC.
The soap operas would go. Now, you would be, and some of your viewers, if they know us and know Denise, they would be very surprised to know that on Days of Our Lives there were a lot of couples doing some risque type things.
Yeah.
And you would have been surprised who Denise was supporting in some of those characters.
We won't share all the secrets, dear.
Not all the secrets.
Well, I'll say this. Her phrase at that time was that this lady who was interested in this other lady's husband, I think it was that she used to go for what she knows. But we come a long way since
Yes, sir.
we're excited to be here. And the rest is history. I mean, we meet good. We started talking.
Awesome.
We go on a date in December the 25th of 1983.
Oh, good.
And you remember, I remember that because we go see a Clint Eastwood movie, and if you check the records today, that is the coldest December 25th on record.
Oh, wow.
It's 2 degrees, and I'm taking this lady on a date. 2 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're 30 years now later, and kids, and excited about marriage and what marriage has for us, and even about the future of what life still holds for us.
That's great. So with 31 years under your belt, what would y'all say, what's the secrets to a long-lasting marriage, and what has kept you guys together?
I actually remember when we came from our honeymoon and went to Abbeville, picked up all of the wedding gifts, and we kind of saw our parents, and we said, we really want to make sure that we have a marriage where, even when the kids leave, like we have now done, that, we're still excited and having fun because the children will go, but we're still here together. And so I think one of the things that I kind of twisted Dale's arm with doing was doing some vacationing and having some fun and creating some memories. So, of course, we were without funds at that time, and we would do some timeshare free visits and just kind of see different particular sites that we always, even once the kids came, we would try to actually have date nights still, and spend time together. And then I think one of the other things, and then I'll let you talk, was we kind of carve out a time to really talk about what's going well during the week, what do we need to kind of maybe tweak, what's kind of the hot topics that we need to talk about, but just carving out a time for whatever we need to discuss.
Yeah, I think part of it was that communication piece that Denise just referred to. Her background is in social work, as well as education. So, and she's also an only child, so she needs to talk to people. I've got 3 brothers growing up, 4 boys in the house growing up, and with 4 boys, you communicate by running. You just kind of, you don't say a whole lot.
Right.
And so now I meet this lady and an only child, and I have to talk. And we definitely have grown to a point where we are able to talk about anything and everything as it relates to that. And a lot of times it's talking about the affairs of the day, so I can get to know where she is on things, where she understands, so we get to understand what she's about, and so that's been a real key to our marriage. I think first and foremost, as I back up a little bit, is I think certainly we know that God is able in marriages and in life to do far above what we could ever even consider. I think that's what you're seeing with us. When folks look at us today, in the beginning, it was not so. There were challenges, there were things that we had to work through. And I thank God for the way we've established this commitment to each other that allows us to even push past some of those challenges. Because right now I think I see people, and particularly young people, the first thing they're quickly to quit, to give up, to throw in towels, if you will. And they're missing out on the larger blessings I think that God has in store for people as they get to the 10, 15, or 20 years. And where you are now, where you have this understanding of what He can do in your life, and then realize that you didn't do it on your own. And so our faith is played a very big part in making it through to where we are now.
Oh, wow. Good.
So that's really good, because we're going to take a quick break to recognize our sponsors. But when we come back, I want to talk about the faith, and the fact that you guys are chairs of the Couples for Christ ministry at our church. And so I think that's really important to talk about the faith aspect in your marriage, because you can't have a marriage without having God.
That's right.
Like I mentioned before, marriage is a covenant with God, and I don't know if people think of it that way. So we want to talk a little bit about that, and kind of how y'all take on that extra role and responsibility. So right now we're going to take a brief break to recognize our sponsors. We want to thank our sponsors for the 2020 season. We've got Jabber and Isaac Law Firm, Isaac Insurance Agency, State Farm, Visions Made Plain, who is our producer as well. We've got Shayna Boston Administrative Management Services, Nada at Style by Nada, who is my amazing stylist, John T. Elliott Professional Hair Design, and the Possibilities Institute, which is my public speaking, coaching, and consulting firm. And I say mine, but ours, because Jamie speaks with me as well.
I try to.
I'm going to get you more into it this
But
year.
you're a leader.
But we're going to take a quick break to thank those sponsors and have you some commercials, and we'll be right back on the other end and continue with Dale and Denise Collier.
Join hands, now you're asking what is the next plan? The Possibilities Institute of Partnership. You and your spouse will never strike out. If you're looking to enhance your family life while building your careers, keep loving the syntax.
I want to thank Councilwoman Tameika Devine, first African-American woman elected to the Columbia City Council.
Committed. She is very committed to the improvement of our community.
Bold in that she's willing to talk about difficult issues.
Not only is she a leader in her community, she's a leader in her sorority. She's an excellent example of what leadership is.
I'd go anywhere, anytime to do anything for Tameika Isaac Devine.
We have whatever you need. Video, branding, photography, social media. Turning vision into reality.
Welcome back with Date. Okay, one more time.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Date Night with the Devines. Thank you so much again for joining us, and thank you to our amazing sponsors. Please continue to support our sponsors, because without them, we could not have this wonderful show. Tonight we are at the Capital City Club here in Columbia, South Carolina. That is our venue sponsor for today. And I think this year we're going to do something different. The Capital City Club is going to host us for the entire year. So we want to thank them so much for being our host for Date Night with the Devines for the 2020 season. And encourage you guys, if you're looking for a place in downtown Columbia to have a membership or to have an event, please check out the Capital City Club. So we're going to jump back into our conversation with Dale and Denise Collier. And before we went to break, we were talking about faith in marriage. And the two of you guys are the co-chairs of the Couples for Christ ministry at Brooklyn Baptist Church. And you also have mentored other churches who've wanted to form a Couples for Christ ministry. So tell us a little bit about the Couples for Christ ministry and why you guys feel like that is so important to the spiritual support that people have in marriages.
I guess I should go first. The Couples for Christ started many years ago in their late 80s. Denise and I were newlyweds. And so we were just walking around the church holding hands. And at the end of the service, Pastor Jackson spoke to the congregation and said, I want to meet 3 couples in the back when I get done today after services. Denise Collier, Billy and Kathy Wright, and Robbie and Michelle Wright. And so Denise and I were as newlyweds, and we're thinking, why are we being called to the office? Right. So we go back, and he said it been laid upon his heart to start the couples ministry at the church at that time. And he said, I got you 3, and don't get whoever else you want to help to run it, to do it, but I trust you all in your judgment. And that birthed the couples ministry. And we were newlyweds of the 3, and from our perspective, it was something that we felt was much needed. And I think it's still the case today when we see a lot of younger couples trying to navigate through the marriage and all the things that go along with it, that you get this type of information early in your marriage, and that you understand roles and responsibilities, communication, and even how to share with other couples the things that you may be going through. Because one of the things we saw with the couples ministry was it wasn't necessarily the issues or the problems that couples were having. When they shared them with others, they found out invariably that other folks had dealt with those things in short order. It's like it was almost as if, is that all you're going through? And let me show you how to deal with that as a seasoned married couple. And that's what we had to benefit of with those other couples as we were young in our marriage as well. Wow. So to me, that's been a big benefit for us. And as we go along and then we become chairpersons, and now we're 30 years of couples retreats at the Brooklyn Baptist Church. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, I remember several of the senior couples just kind of embracing us because we were the newbies. Right. Thinking in particular Geraldine and Mr. Felder, David Felder. And so when our son was born, his days and nights stayed confused for many months. and so we were looking tired at church, and he said, honey, what you need to do is, and he said, bathe him at night and do XYZ. And he started sleeping and has been sleeping for many years. But I think the couples ministry to us just allowed us to be exposed to couples that kind of had similar mindsets. When you're single, it's very different if you're associated still with your single friends versus couples. And so it gave us some couples that are still our friends to this day that we could be with. Gave us those strategies that Dale talked about. But then just allowed us to have fun and fellowship. I think some folks think, well, if you come to a couples retreat, it's all about, things that are not going well. But we have lots of funs and dances and good times and laughter. And we're really excited this year because we have 180 couples that are going with us. And I think when they started, we actually missed the first retreat. Our son was born that year, but I think there were about 25 couples, and so we've gone from 25 up to 180. And even this past week, lots of folks still trying to make that decision to go. So definitely a ministry that's needed and one that allows us to have a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed this ministry. It allows us to do something together as well. One of the things that we've learned over time is as couples, we did bring ourselves closer together as far as opposed to going farther apart. And so a lot of the ministries that you see us involved in and things that we can do together. And it also allows us to get to know each other, get to know exactly what you think. There's not a time when someone can say something about Denise and I'll say, well, you think she said that or did she not do that? I mean, you kind of know each other. That's right. And so when there's things that are brought forth, you can quickly dispel anything that someone could say that whether something was one way or another, especially when you're young in your marriage. Because that's when a lot of the more dramatic type of things happen. And obviously now we're 30 years in, and we're still excited about it. We learned some tools over the time in our couples ministry. One of the major things that we learned is, I think Denise mentioned it earlier, is that the children, our role was to prepare them to leave. And once they are gone, then we have to figure out how do we deal with each other in that different type of setting. One of the things that I remember well with my parents, during the time we had 4 boys, we would go home to Abbeville, visit my parents, visit Denise's parents. My mom and my dad would sit in their favorite chairs and they'd be watching TV. We'd say, okay, Mom, Dad, we're going back to Columbia, we'll see you later. We'd come back maybe a month later. So often we visit, we'd open the door and we'd see my mom and my dad sitting in their favorite chairs. And we thought, did they even change clothes? And it dawned on us, it was almost as if with the boys gone, they were in this mode of, what do we do now? What do we do now? What do we do now? And so when Denise talked about making time for each other and even traveling, forcing ourselves to do those types of things, we knew that this day would be coming and that we did not want to be just kind of sitting there trying to figure out what next. And from the thing I had with my wife, I don't have that problem because she's got a lot of next things that she wants. You may be able to relate to this.
Yes, I know about the next.
Yeah, so there's always something new, always something to improve model of something. So that's right. So, but it makes it exciting. It makes this stage of our life very exciting from the standpoint of having those things to look forward to.
And I think the other part is our kids are now 28 and 24, but I remember when they were smaller, your kids' ages, and they actually look forward to those memories that we carved out with them as well in terms of the traveling. Some of the things that they still talk about were things that happened when they were in elementary and middle school, and they still have those memories. And they have even told us that, at least our daughter, one of the things that she really wants to do is to be able to go to the couples retreat. She says, I've heard you all planning it. I'm so excited about it. She said, I want you all to pay for it whenever I find my husband. Our first one, she said, because I think it's just so important. And I think we probably could twist DJ's hand as well if we find the right one for him as well.
That's a great goal to have, and that just shows kind of the impact that the Couples for Christ ministry and the retreats have had. And to share, a personal story for us, and I know I've told you guys this before, but remember one of our very first Couples for Christ meetings, kind of to Dale's point of getting advice, we were talking about what we found was we had no couple friends, and then the couple friends that we had, or the married friends we had, didn't do things as a couple. The husband would do, he'd hang out with the boys and the wife would hang out with the girls, but they didn't do stuff as a couple. Right. And we had people who would look at us like we were aliens because we wanted to spend time together. And I remember being at a Couples for Christ activity, and we shared that challenge. And one of the advice members, I think Mr. Tate gave us was, well, that's why you have things like this. You're not with the right couples. You need to be finding other married couples that you guys can hang with, people who enjoy being together. And so I think that also shows kind of the legacy of the Couples for Christ ministry, because you can have friends, like you mentioned, Dee, when you're married, you don't necessarily need to have a whole bunch of single friends. But even if you have married friends, if they don't have the right kind of marriage, if they are not building their marriage on a foundation that is strong, and that they, and that Christ is the head of their household, then that might not also be a couple that you want to be around. And so I think having the Couples for Christ ministry and being around other couples, Christian couples, is very important as well.
Definitely important. I think, and I don't want to disparage our single friends out there, but one of the things we have to understand is that when we have friends who are single, if we ask them or shared with them anything that we're going on, their first response could have been, well, if it was me, I'd get out of there. And they're right, they're single. They could easily get out of there. From their perspective, there would be no harm, no foul, so to speak, at that point. But we knew that we had a much deeper bond, much larger goals. Our goals were set larger than that. And certainly with the kids being involved as well, we want to make sure we have a firm foundation. So that's where we talk about talking to folks who've gone through these things. And there's one of the things I can share with you about the couples ministry has been over the 30 years when we've dealt with couples, and we've had to kind of try to minister to folks who come to us with challenges. Invariably, it hasn't been the soap opera type things where there's something going on and there's another person involved and there's all this thing that you would see on the movies. It's been that man and that woman in that house not being able to see eye to eye. And it's been one-on-one and nothing soap opera-like at all. But simply, how do you deal with those two people in that dynamic in the house together? Wow, that's pretty awesome.
I want to quickly switch. Jamie, you mentioned parents, so you want to ask a question about that, because I think that's an important topic to address too.
Well, not to give too much of your information out, but I do know that you all have taken care of Denise's parents for several years, and recently lost her father in 2018. Now your mother's still living with you guys. Yes. So how do you deal with dealing with the parent, dealing with the spouse, and then the children aren't in the house, but they were in the house? How do you deal with 3 generations at one time? And then how do you make that work still with the marriage, and how do you have date night, and you try to take care of parents, take care of children, take care of yourselves? So for some other couples that may be going through that, how would you say that may help them?
Well, as Dale mentioned, I am an only child, so when we knew that Mom and Dad just couldn't stay any longer at home because of illnesses or just forgetting different things, there was, and I really appreciate that, because not all husbands would say, well, just bring them on to us. And so we were real fortunate. It was a challenge. Just because I think the kids, everybody had been gone for 2 years, so we were having a good time without anybody in the house. And then it was like, ooh, okay. But it was a challenge, and to be perfectly honest, it's kind of like having, like with Mom there now, it's just kind of like having another child there. I mean, she's mobile and able to do things, but you always have to say, oh, well, is she going or is she not going, just like you would do with a child. We've been very fortunate, though. We've got a really good caretaker that helps when we're at work, and she's almost like an extended family member, I would say. So if we have some particular things, as long as I let her know in advance, she has no problem. So that allows us to steal away and still do some of the fun things. Now, Mama is not the most easy person to get along with, so I think she has fired before this great person about 5 other caretakers.
Oh, wow.
But we finally reached the right one and the right combination, and so it's gone really, really well. But just being able to, when her golden year, she's now 90, just making sure that she's having a lot of fun. And so our kids have actually seen that as they come back and forth, and we're hoping that when we reach those golden years, they'll do the same thing for us.
That's right.
Yeah, we've playfully called the address of our home 202 Shady Pines. The caretakers for Mama Ruth, and she's a wonderful lady, and just like a mother to me. And even our kids have seen that, and they've seen the challenges that go along with that. So I think it's also doing something in them where they kind of see that, that in this stage of life where we are, that they may travel that way as well. And the only thing about it, Jamie, is our kids, first my parents went through similar things, but they were with my older brother, Michael, in Anderson. Okay. So we dealt with that as 4 boys, and thank God 3 daughters-in-law. And now Denise's parents and Mama Ruth with us. Our kids, you have to take a look at what we had to do in dealing with all the parents so far. And they had a meeting. And the discussion between our lovely children that you know well, as they are, was if this happens to Mom and Dad, which one will you take? So these brilliant minds of ours, they took a vote, and both of them, as we found out later, were arguing about who's going to take Daddy. I'm like, well, we're not going to split us up like slaves.
Yeah, why you splitting us? Yes.
So, I've made a concerted effort to be nicer to them. But they realize that this is something, and even when they come home, we joke with them that we have additional staff. They are able to do everything that we do at home when they come, because they see the commitment that it takes. But I think they're also seeing the love that's shown there and how that translates into what we're trying to do. So it's a challenging part, but we're excited about what God is still allowing her to do at this age.
One of the things that really touched my heart was, like I said, she just turned 90 a few months ago, and so we did something special and took her away for a trip. And the kids said, we're going as well. And our son had just been at his job not too long, and he said he told his employer, he said, I have to take some time off because she's my only grandparent and I got to be there. So that was pretty special.
That's good. That's good. Well, listen, as we get ready to close out, again, we want to thank you guys so much for being here. And the final question I always get to ask is, what advice, suggestions, words of encouragement would you give to a younger Denise or younger Dale, and then just to younger couples in general? Again, 31 years is nothing to just blink your eye and it just happens. You know, that's a lot of commitment, a lot of communications, and a lot of caring for each other. So what nuggets would you leave with the audience, particularly for young people or those who may be kind of like where we are, kind of middle of the way, 16 years in? So.
I always tell couples to realize what works best in your particular home, not compare your relationship to anyone else's. Definitely have the lines of communication open, but have fun, enjoy this wonderful journey, and just continue to make memories. I think the other thing is sometimes moms know best, and so listen to them. They may find the right one for you.
That's a good one. I like that.
That's true. That's right. I would have to give in to that one based on our start. For me, it's my mother was a plain-spoken woman, and you remember I love my mom. Her advice was to us, well, Denise, honey, it's more than a hugging and a kissing and a hopping in the bed. And I said, well, Mom, I got to do some of that, don't we? But basically what she was saying, it was a commitment. That's right. And so the commitment is something that goes even farther than even some of the things that we are very more concerned about. Is that I know that she has my back. She knows that I know that I want her best interest to be put forward, and we at times have to deny ourselves for that. Right now we live in a world where there's a lot of selfishness. A lot of people want what they want. They're used to having what they want. And thank God I have an only child here. You know, Mr. Devine gave her everything that gave her right. And I have to try to live up to that when I meet her. That's right. And but at the same time, I've seen over time how that commitment has translated into she's feeling the very same way about me. And so for couples today, I would hope that they could learn that sooner than later. And to think future, think about the future. One time in one of our couples ministries, the minister mentioned that in West Africa, where most of us are from, but in some languages there was no word for future. And it's funny how we at times live like that even today. As if we don't look way down the road to see where we could be 30 years from now, and understand that God can carry us there, and it could even be even sweeter at that moment than what we may see at the very moment where we having challenges and trials and those types of things. But down the road, oh man, wonderful, worth the time put in, and worth the commitment being made to get to the stage where we are, and understand that with God in the midst, that it can go very, very well.
Trifecta. Trifecta.
Definitely.
Well, Tameika.
Well, thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you guys as our first guest of 2020.
Yes.
And thank you so much for tuning in and watching us. If you like what you saw, please continue to watch and to share. Tell your friends about the show. You can find us every third Monday at 9 p.m. on the Date Night with the Devines Facebook page, Freethinkers Radio Facebook page, Freethinkers Radio website, and then of course you can always see the replays on our YouTube channel, or my YouTube channel, Tameika Isaac Devine. Continue to like us, to follow us, and to share. Also, if you do find that this has been helpful, then think about ways that you can implement some of the suggestions and advice that you've gotten in your life and in your marriage. So again, thank you to our sponsors. We've got State Farm Isaac Insurance Agency, Japper and Isaac Law Firm, Visions Bay Plain, Shayna Boston Administrative Management Services, Nato Rutherford at Style by Nada, John T. Elliott Professional Hair Design, and of course the Possibilities Institute. Tameika Isaac Devine, yours truly. So until next time, I'm Tameika.
And I'm Jamie.
And
we are the Devines.